All right, guys, so I want to briefly show you how to check to see if your web page is accessible to people who have visual disabilities. So I'm going to show you a website. It's called WebAIM right here. And this shows you a way to check to see if your website is, the contrast on your website is enough so that someone who has a visual impairment can read the text against the background of your website. So here, right here, is a way to put in your website URL in order to see if your colors are contrasting enough. So I'm going to use the sample page that I made for a little assignment that we did about the winter break. So notice that this is the HTML. I went to show and I went to the full screen page. I'm going to grab this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put this into this little bar right here. Okay, and I've actually just done it before, so it popped up. So here it tells me a number of different things. Okay, it tells me that there's actually some contrast errors here, and let me explain what that looks like. So in order for people to be able to read text against a background color, one needs to be dark and the other one needs to be light. So the contrast between them needs to be such that the ratio between the foreground and the background is at least 4.5 to 1. Okay, that's just one of the specifications for the Americans with Disability Act. So in order to make sure that that is the case, there's actually one thing that's a problem here. So if I go to contrast, or if I go to details, it tells me that there is a problem with one of my pieces here. And it's actually, if you look, it's a problem with the anchor tag right here. And so if I go into details, it actually shows me that there is an error. So all these little red features are errors. And right here, the error for this one, if I click on it, it's saying very low contrast. And so that's my anchor tag. So what I could do is I could go into my anchor tag and actually give the anchor tag like a background color. Let's say yellow. I mean, it doesn't really look the nicest with my web page, but if I refreshed it here, you could see that like the text actually shows up better against a yellow background. And if I refresh it here, it probably, see, it cleared out that error. So I no longer have an error right there. Okay, now I have some errors that are called alternative text. Now what an alt text is, it's text that you add into the image tag so that a screen reader, people who have low visibility, people who can't see very well, or they're blind entirely, they use a piece of technology called a screen reader. And what that does is it reads the items on a web page. So you provide alternative text into your picture so that it describes your picture, so that a screen reader can describe the picture to someone who cannot see. So what you do is you go back into your web page, you go to the index.html, you find your image here, scroll to the end of your image. Okay, I have an extra thing on my image because my pictures were rotated. So I'm going to scroll past that, and I'm going to say ALT or alt equals quotation mark, and I'm going to describe my image. So this is an image of my son and I on an airplane. So my son and I on an airplane for the first time. For the first time in his life, I brought him on the airplane. So I just described what this image looks like, okay? And I'm gonna refresh this page. I'm gonna refresh this report. And all of a sudden, this has alternative text that's provided for the image. So it no longer has that error for that image. So you have to go back and you need to make sure there's no color contrast errors for your fan page, and there's also alternative text provided for each of your images. Those are two accessibility things that you need to go back and fix or add in order for them to clear it. Once you're finished, you're going to take a screenshot that there's no errors here, that you've figured everything out, and there's no errors with the alt text and the contrast errors, and you're going to show that to me as part of your grade for the web page. And that's it.